where we are going to talk about allowing horses to say no, both the benefits and the pitfalls. Because I think allowing a horse to say no is very beneficial, but it also obviously has its huge pitfalls, which, if we are not aware of the pitfalls, we risk getting a horse that says more no than yes, which obviously isn't the intention with the concept of allowing the horse to say no. Yes, so I have a system or a method for turning a no into a yes. And this is obviously to avoid having a horse who feels that they have to do something and is doing it although they don't want to, which is actually something Eline Nygaard recently found in her study. She did a bachelor's degree in animal behavior. And in her bachelor's, she did a study where she measured horses' heart rates inside trailers. And when you see their heart rate, it's obviously easy to see if they are stressed or relaxed, because when they are stressed, their heart rate goes up, and when they are relaxed, their heart rate goes down. And what she found after then measuring horses in these trailers was that not all, but some of the horses who were very easy to trailer load, they had very high anxiety levels, very high heart rates. While some of the horses who were a bit more difficult to load, they were much more relaxed inside the trailer. And she concluded that obviously some of the horses, they were compliant to go inside the trailer, but they weren't comfortable with it. While other horses were less compliant, but more comfortable once they got into the trailer. So, my reason for allowing horses to say no and giving choices is that I want them to be comfortable with what I'm doing with them. I want them to be comfortable going into the trailer. So, I therefore allow them to speak their mind. But that doesn't mean that I release them for saying no, which is obviously a very common pitfall. So if we have this idea that, yeah, the horse saying no is a good thing because then, the horse isn't uncomfortable, and we release on the nose, the horse is going to say more no than yes. And we are not going to get the horse into the trailer, obviously. So let me know in the comments below if you have heard this too, that you should allow your horse to say no, and that's going to solve all your problems. Yes, I'm here to tell you that if you simply just allow your horse to say no, you're going to get into a lot of problems. Yes, very quickly, because your horse is then going to say more no than yes. But if you do it in a strategic way, then you are going to get a horse who says yes because they have had the chance to say no. They have basically changed their mind, and your ID has become their ID. And I will try to explain the basics of it. So, when giving these choices, it's a geographical choice, not a choice versus they are going to listen to the signal or not. And this confuses people very much. But horses, they are very much aware of where the release is and where the relaxation is and where the pressure and the stress is in a geographical sense. Like if we are continuously pressuring horses into the corners, they are going to associate the corners with pressure and not want to go into the corner. And if we continuously pressure horses towards scary objects, they are going to associate the scary objects with pressure. So in terms of the trailer loading, for instance, I want the release and the geographical piece that the horse is finding to be towards the trailer, not away from it. So I can do this in many ways, but a very obvious way of then giving choices when trailer loading is to literally you put your trailer inside a fenced area, inside the paddock, and you ask your horse to go into the trailer. And the horse isn't going into the trailer, the horse is running away from the trailer. And that's when I then follow the horse on the idea of running away from the trailer by basically just walking behind their drive line and following there on the idea of running away until they face the trailer. And when they face the trailer, I step backwards and give the horse rest and release. So when the horse is then stepping towards the trailer and looking at the trailer, there is, they aren't running, they are actually relaxing and having a rest. But when they're running away from the trailer, I follow them on the idea of running away. So the geographical place where they get the rest and the release is towards the trailer. But I'm not punishing the horse or like making them run around the trailer. The horse is choosing to run around the trailer. I just follow the horse on the idea of running away from the trailer. And I release on the horse's idea of looking at the trailer. So, yeah, that's how I do it at least. And in this way, the horse is free to say, no, I don't want to trailer load. But I make their idea of not trailer loading not the best idea and a better idea to trailer load. If that makes sense. So please let me know in the comments below, because this is quite different from then trying to pressure the horse into the trailer and not allowing the horse to speak its mind. Where the horse feels like they have no choice, they just have to go into the trailer and they don't feel comfortable in the trailer. It's not their idea to go into the trailer. Yes. So I do this very much with geography, like leaving the stable. I make my idea of leaving the stable by riding by the stable. But the key here is that if I have given a riding signal, for instance, I have picked up on the left rein and I want to steer my horse away from the stable, and the horse goes like, no, I don't want to, and pulls to the right, I'm not just releasing the rein and going, yeah, I'm gonna let him say no. I first make sure he responds to the rein aid, and then I can, give a choice. So with the riding signals, I don't give choices. I don't tell the horse like how you want to respond to the rein aid is your choice, because then I would release on the wrong thing. So if I pick up on the left rein, I make sure the horse turns softly to the left before releasing. And if I pick up on the right rein, I make sure the horse turns softly to the right before releasing. But if I then want to make my idea, the horse's idea of leaving the stable, I'm not picking up any reins. I just ride forwards and see where I end up. And that's where I then do some riding like I would do normally, until the horse then figures, no, maybe we should go away from the stable. And that's where I release and dismount and take the saddle off. So I basically use the choices to change the horse's perception of things. Yes, but I don't use choices to mess up my riding signals because we can just as easily teach a horse that picking up the left reins means go to the right, or leg aid means go backwards, or rein aid means go faster. They are not born understanding the riding signal, so we need to take care so that the horse doesn't get confused in terms of what the signals mean. But when it comes to where I choose to work and where I choose to rest, I am always trying to get my horse's perspective on things and allowing my horse to say no so that I can turn it into the yes. So it's very easy. You can take almost any horse who has been riding a lot in the arena. You just drop the reins, ride forwards, and see where you end up. You end up away from the corner, that's for sure. No horse wants to go into the corner because they have been pressured so much into the corners. So I drop the reins, ride forward, see where I end up, and I notice, okay, this horse doesn't want to go into the corners. Okay, maybe I should just do my riding in the center of the arena. And when the horse goes to the corner, that's where I release and relax and give a treat and dismount so that I can make my idea of going into the corners the horse's idea. Yes, so that's at least how I let my horses say no and how I then turn it into a permanent yes. Because if we never allow them to speak our mind and take the time to make our idea their idea, we need to constantly win battles with them and also constantly correct stuff. And I don't find that very beneficial for having great relationships with the horse. Like if someone was always telling you to go into the corners, you wouldn't find that very motivating. But if you got the idea of going into the corner yourself and there you got a huge reward, you would, want to go into the corners. And the same with the trailer loading, and the same with the leaving the stable, and the same with basically everything. But it's a geographical thing with these horses. And that geography can happen 50 meters away from the trailer. It doesn't have to happen inside the trailer. This can start at a long distance. Make the horse attracted by the trailer and want to go into the trailer by strategically releasing and resting the horse towards the trailer. Yes, so I hope this helps. So if you now want to let your horse say no, then you are good to go because you now know how to make your ID your horse's ID. And it's not about the riding signals and saying yes and no to them. It's about the geography, like the place. Yes. And that could be a trailer, it could be a narrow gate, it could be the water hose, it could be the scary mailbox, it could be absolutely anything. But once we take our time to turn that no into a yes, we get a very reliable and confident and also compliant horse. But if we don't take the time to do that, we might risk getting a horse who is compliant but not comfortable. And that's how freak accidents suddenly happen. Like a horse who has always been perfect at trailer loading suddenly, hurts himself and freaks out because the stress goes inwards until they explode. Or like a horse who's always been good with everything suddenly does something stupid. It's usually because the horse has been compliant very long, but not necessarily comfortable. And by giving these choices in a strategic way, we make sure that we have the horse together with us with everything we do. Yes, so I hope this helps. And that was about it for this evening. Yes. And let me know in the comments below if you are going to try this with your horse or have even tried it with your horse. And the funny thing is that once you do this, liberty also becomes very easy because you don't need the lead ropes or the reins to control the horse. The horse is actually controlling him or herself. So everything becomes super easy. And deep-rooted problems actually get solved. Yes, so when a horse chooses to have the saddle on, the saddling issue gets solved once and for all, versus if the horse is always tied up and, forced to get the saddle on. So although the horse is standing still, he might not feel comfortable. Like Eileen Nygård's measurements revealed when it came to trailer loading. Yes, so I hope this helps, and thank you so much for joining this evening, and bye for now.